Good afternoon, members, and to the viewing public. We are back on our committee meeting, and when we left off on our last recess was this morning, and we just decided on our recess this morning to just allow the members and the bureau staff to take their lunch hour. So we are back to this committee meeting, and where we left off was on sections 301. And Dale, can we have the sections be reflective on the screen for the viewing public to see? Joe? And under sections 301, appropriation and budget authority for all the autonomous and semi-autonomous agencies. Under these sections, the committee had decided to update it informations under activities under NOP, personnel and operations, and the total budget amount. So with that, we have updated since our recess this morning. Are there any further discussion under sections 301? Yeah. Let's allow the bureau staff to have section 301 reflective on the screen for the viewing public. Apologies to the viewing public. We're just working on our technical issues here. Let's have a short recess as it's taking a while for the technical issues. Good afternoon again, members, and to the viewing public. We are back on our committee meeting, and we apologize that we had to enter into a recess to deal with our technical issues. And right now, to the viewing public, what you see on the screen is the provision on section 301, appropriation and budget authority, that we have left off this morning. And these are all the activities and the budget for their personnel and operations for all the autonomous and semi-autonomous agencies. And Discussion from the members under Section 301. Recognize the Vice Chairman.
Chairman, just on line 12, maybe if there's no issues from the members, we can keep the language, but if you read the budget authority approved herein for agencies to which, should we just follow suit with the other changes instead of public funds, put general fund? Right there, right there. Instead of public funds, just so it's uniform that we're talking about general funds. Yeah.
Okay, so
you.
that is the changes under item 12 to change the words public funds to general funds. Further discussion under sections 301. Ready? Thank you, members. So that brings us now to sections 302, which is prior certification of funds. And these provisions are carryover provisions from the current budget. The only addition on these provisions was on line 14 to 15. We inserted the legislative branch under our deliberation in the past few days. So we are now under open discussion. Are we ready? Okay, thank you, members. Recognize the floor leader.
Just a question, Chairman. So we know that one of our colleagues had also submitted or introduced a bill tailored toward the legislature with having their own HR and fiscal management department. And I know that passed the House and is still in the Senate. Would this in any way hinder or do anything to jeopardize that bill should that be passed by the Senate?
Not at all. I mean, these provisions only exempts the judicial branch, legislative branch, public school system, and the Northern Marianas College for this fiscal year.
Thank you. I just wanted to get clarification. Thanks.
Thank you, members. Further discussion? Ready? Thank you. So we are now on section 303, reporting requirements, and these are also carryover provisions from the existing current budget, and it only calls for the Sinamay Public School System to be submitting to the both presiding officers of both houses, and to include the chairpersons of the fiscal affairs and ways and means for both houses. We are now under discussion. Section 303. Yeah, 303. And this provisions only calls for the public school system to be submitting their expenditures reports to both presiding officers, and to include the chairpersons of both fiscal affairs and ways and means chair. Further discussion? Ready? Thank you, members. That brings us to section 401, management of funds. And these are likewise carryover standard provisions under management of funds. Discussion on this section. Ready? Which brings us now to section 402, number of positions of NOPs, ceiling. And of course, these provisions are carried over again and are standard on every budget bill. So what the committee had decided is to just carry over. Discussion on these provisions. Recognize the floor, Leader.
Chairman, and again, this goes back to the discussion we had. We know we were talking about MOUs and that the MOUs were sometimes treated as such. So I know that we had taken care of that in another section. But this is strictly for those with NOPAs that go through the process, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Floor Leader. Further discussion under Section 402. Ready? Thank you, members. That brings us to Section 403, donation of sick leave. And these are, again, carryover provisions from the current budget and standard provisions to address sick leave donations. Discussion on these provisions. Ready? Thank you, members. That brings us now to Section 404, expenditure authority. And this also is a carryover provisions from the current budget. We are now under discussion on these provisions. Ready? Thank you, members. We are now under Section 501, and this is the reprogramming authority that was given to the administration also in this current budget, and that the chair is asking that all members that we consider again giving that 100% reprogramming authority to the administration to have the ability to reprogram funds only on the executive branch to take care other important obligations that the administrations needs to take care during this fiscal year. We are now under open discussion. Recognize the floor, Leader.
So this is just strictly for the executive branch.
Yes.
That's it? Okay, and so any other salary increases, especially for attorneys under the, what is this? What's the defense? What do they call that? I'm sorry.
Public defenders.
Public Defender's Office, AG, is that all inclusive of this? The part where
We
the
are in Section
reprogramming
501
and-
under reprogramming authority.
Because it says not be used for hiring or salary adjustment of active personnel, right? But we're giving the executive branch 100% reprogramming authority. And what you had mentioned, Chairman, was that, and this action will allow him to make the necessary adjustments deem necessary to run the Commonwealth. Is that correct?
And reprogramming within the executive branch.
Within the executive branch. So
And- Yes.
so,
correct.
okay, so he can use this authority and this authority that's in this section to actually make salary adjustments for professionals such as attorneys for the Office of, no? No? Okay.
We've made that very clear that any salary adjustments has to come from external funds.
Got you. Thank you. I just wanted to be clear. Thank you.
Recognize Representative Jewell under open discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know this doesn't really directly relate, but I don't have an issue. I never really have an issue with giving the executive branch 100% reprogramming authority within the executive branch. However, whenever we get to the point where we're doing proportionate cuts, that's where I kind of disagree, because the legislature never overspends. We're never in the red. It's the executive branch that has a habit of getting into deficit spending, and then when it comes to where there's a shortfall of our economic resources, there's a proportionate cut across all agencies. That's the only part where I don't disagree, because if we give the executive branch the 100% reprogramming authority and then to spend within their means, yet we have to do a proportionate cut on our end when we don't even have barely enough to sustain ourselves on the annual budget. But that's just my take.
Thank you, Rep. Joel. That is a very noble concern. I know that we have experienced it in the past fiscal budgets, that when we enter into the third and fourth quarter and that anticipated projections are not met, the administration has always implement proportionate cuts across the board, and that's to include all branches of government. I understand that your argument with the 100% reprogramming authority should be taken as a tool to avoid those proportionate cuts. But in this budget deliberation, we are open if there's any suggestions of provisions added to kind of address that concern. You still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And maybe may I suggest that maybe we can add some sort of language in there. I mean, I do understand that the vice chairman has brought this to our attention that when the legislature undergoes a proportionate cut, it's pretty much us putting our share, into helping our government as a whole. However, I go back to what I stated earlier, where we don't overspend. We're actually not even allowed to overspend, and yet we face that dilemma. So maybe if we have to, we have to, right? We're going to pitch in our share of cuts, but at least for the Secretary of Finance to maybe forecast, a quarter in advance to notify us, because when they do proportionate cuts, it critically affects our office operations, where we have to cut salaries or let go of certain staff. So maybe we can put a provision that protects us at least, or even the judiciary for that matter. Thank you.
Thank you. And in response, let me recognize the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. And Chairman Joel Camacho is right. Those are very good concerns. But the reason why we put this in the budget is that would be last resort. Should remember that if we remove this, the administration would only have maximum of 30% reprogramming authority. And let's say that we appropriate $100,000, they can only reprogram 30,000 of that 100,000 for the fiscal year. By allowing them the 100% reprogramming authorities, they can move monies within the executive branch to address shortages, right, elsewhere. But I think in our previous discussion, we can add that to another section, what your concerns are. So rather than every quarter there's a reporting, it should be like 10 days after the end of every month, so that there's at least a forecast from our end as well, where we can kind of see what their expenditures are looking like. And then we can also obligate the finance to see what the next 2-3 months down the road is going to look like in regards to collections. But I don't think we should put that in this section, but on the sections, I forget exactly which number in the budget bill, but we should reflect that and have them report every month, but like a 10-day period after every month, so that we see what the trend is and prepare ourselves. Because if we don't do that, then we run short even with the 100% reprogramming authority, and we're going to have to cut. They're going to have to cut across the board, and at that period, it's 100% controlled by the executive branch. But if we can see the numbers on a monthly basis, it's going to actually help us understand where if we do need cuts, or maybe we may be surprised that their collections actually go beyond the $200,000, which would recommend the administrator, or obligate the administration to send additional monies found for the current fiscal year, so we can address the budget that way. Maybe that's something that we can, to make it fair to all the parties, we can make sure that we put that in the reporting clause. No,
Chairman, if I can also just reiterate what the Vice Chair mentioned. Also, maybe we can put something where at any given point in time there are surplus funds, like you mentioned, like the projection goes up, that we are absolutely a part of that, and that we appropriate those monies as in the form of a supplemental. Because I do notice that sometimes, every once in a while, we get the actuarial reports from the Department of Finance, and they're moving monies around that were identified, and yet that's actually our purview, the legislative purview, to appropriate those monies. So maybe, I don't know what section would we put those in, but Yeah, just something
Yeah,
to
maybe
that effect.
maybe
Thank you.
further down the provisions, we'll try to create. I think I believe the legal counsel is taking notes, and maybe the proper venue of inserting that. Maybe perhaps if you look at the screen right now, maybe we could add more provisions under sections 204, reporting requirements for the Secretary of Finance, and to include those reporting of a monthly reporting. Let me recognize Representative Yumo and then the floor leader. Representative Yumo.
Thank you, Chair. I guess, can we go back to that section that I forgot? Was it 501? 301? Yeah,
We are at 501, section 501.
501. Thank you. So, can I offer a motion now or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll go back down. Sorry, Joe. Line 12. So I think we should strengthen that. And reprogramming shall not be used for the hiring of new personnel.
Yeah.
So move. No, it's joke.
So there is a
Yeah,
proposed.
because
Go ahead. You still have the
there are
floor.
always gonna be, funds moving around and personnel moving up and down. So, or being lateral transfer, moved to another, or moved to federal programs. So we wanna make sure that we capture both sides and make sure that because the cinema is planning to go into loan, that we at least do our part and ensure that the number of employees doesn't increase and bloat the government. So that's pretty much it.
Thank
so
you,
moved.
Rep. Yumo. And I believe that the legal counsel had
In favor.
inserted the word new after the word off. So section, line 12 of section 501 will now read as reprogramming shall not be used for the hiring of new personnel or for the salary adjustment of active personnel. So that is the new update. Further discussion, let me recognize the floor leader and then Representative Roman Benavente.
And that's, I have to agree, Chairman, with, in line of this conversation, because on the last budget, we've experienced this trend that every time we were going to get certification of anything, anywhere in the executive branch, and this is even prior to this last executive leadership, right, under this administration, it's never correct. And we always seem to keep going in circles with OMB, with finance, because of this 100% reprogramming authority. The number is never right. And I think our job here is, at the House, is to appropriate this money. But we can't seem to appropriate anything because the money figure is never accurate. And at this point, when we're talking about exercising this co-equal branch, we need to go back to demonstrate that the legislature is the body that appropriates the funds. And we should have what is accurate that's recorded from the Secretary of Finance. So I would have to agree with both my colleagues and the Vice Chair that the language should be strengthened to add that new word, but also make it very clear that no more of this triangle or whatever. If that needs to happen, it must be given to the legislature for appropriation.
Thank you, Floor Leader. Recognize Representative Roman Benavente.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm sorry that I'm late, but I've heard what the Vice Chair has alluded earlier as far as what his intent to do with the budget. I really agree with that, though, because in that way there's a tracking that we can track the finance and how much they're collecting and how much we're dispensing. But I'd like to ask you too another thing. When we do the budget, do we do by increment or do we do just by one time?
This is a one-shot all through the year of the fiscal year. And every budget bill are based on anticipated projections. We are basing it on the anticipated collections on and projected of revenues from the Secretary of Finance office and OMB.
The reason why I asked that is because we don't know, we don't know with the situation that we have, budget situation and the economic situation that we have here. We don't know how it is going to be. And that's why, certain critical agencies and departments that are really in need to operate and everything, That's why I asked that question, because even if you compare it to businesses, you don't just issue everything. You go by increment, and then you, from based on whatever that is delivered, the job that they deliver, that's the time you pay. And I was just asking for that.
Right.
If that could be done. If not,
Yes, that is why the vice chair had suggested that we should create a new section,
yes.
so that we require and mandate the Secretary of Finance to be giving us a monthly report
Yes.
on what are the projected revenues received, so that each branch of government can prepare themselves and monitor the trend of revenues and allocations to each branch, so that on a bad quarter, we must expect that we should make adjustment if we're seeing that the trend keeps going down, that we have that kind of overview
Yes.
by the reporting clause of monthly, mandating the Secretary of Finance to report.
I agree
every
with
month.
that, and I totally agree what the Vice Chair has mentioned. But I also like to see that everything is in place, and rest assured that we have this in the budget proposal. In the budget submission.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Recognize Representative Yumo.
Thank you, Chair. And under line 16, person to 1 CMC, all reprogram shall be reported to the chair or the Committee on Ways and Means, and 30 days, not in writing. It should be in a form of presenting to Congress on what they reprogram, so that a lot of the times we receive reports with no explanation, and most of the time they expect us to read their language, and we don't understand, and we can't ask questions. So if it would be okay to report to the House Committee on Ways and Means and the Fiscal Affairs, so we can they can explain to us as to what was reprogrammed, and so move.
There is a open motion that or suggestion, but it's open for discussion. This is a policy call again, adding provision that they personally come to the chamber to report versus a written report. Let's think about it. We are under discussion.
And if I may, Chair, and because I used to chair Ways and Means, by the time I receive any communication from the administration, it's 3 or 4 months behind, and by then it'll be too late. And I think we should be more transparent with regards to, especially now that we're requesting this body to go into loan. So we need to know really what and where the money is going to. So I offered that as a motion or for consideration with the members. We don't have to decide on it today, but at least think better ways to present to Congress rather than wait for a report that comes out, 3 or 4 months after the due date. Thank you.
There is a motion offered by Rep. Yumo, and for consideration, we are in an open discussion. Discussion, members? Is this something that we want to agree upon? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Legal counsel, please insert those amendments. Further discussion under section 501, reprogramming of authority. Recognize Representative Angelo Camacho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think this section is going to go on for quite a few more minutes. So if no objection, can we entertain our guests? And then we can proceed back to where we left off.
Thank you for the reminder. We will go now under recess. We have folks here to do a presentation to the whole members of the House, not just the Committee on Ways and Means. And therefore, to the viewing public, we are going under recess. And then after the presentation, we will rise back on our committee meeting. We are in recess. Good afternoon, members, and to the viewing public. We are back on our committee meeting. And before we had the recess, we were at section 501. But before we return to 501, let's go back to section 204, reporting requirements for the Secretary of Finance. And for the members of the public, as you see on the screen, there are added new provisions under line 19. One, to read, comparing the actual revenues collected and the revenues estimated of all funds appropriated for the operations and activities of the Commonwealth government in this act. And then we added a new provisions to all the funds that have been reprogrammed. Discussion on these changes made under sections 204.
Ready. Ready.
Ready, members? Okay, thank you, members. So, which is now, the chair will now like to get your guys' attention to back to section 501, reprogramming authority. And all these reprogramming authorities are
We return it back the way it
the
was.
same provisions that are included in the current budget, and this is just a carryover provisions. Discussion on section 501. Ready? Recognize Representative
Thank you, Chair.
Robin.
And just for clarity and so that we're clear, because a lot of time, I'm not saying this administration, we're talking any of the all the administrations. What normally happens is when employees are moved or to a different division, either federal or non-local resource, a position opens. So I want to make sure that this is clear that once the person is assigned somewhere else, that the position doesn't open up for new hires. So that's what I want to be very clear on.
Right, and then thank you for that. So if you look at 501, line 12, we have inserted that concern of yours as to reprogramming shall not be used for the hiring of new personnel. So that is already inserted to address your concern. Further discussion under section 501. Ready? Thank you, members. That brings us to section 601, utilities. And again, these are all carryover provisions from the existing current budget. And 601A talks about CUC monthly utility billings for all department and agencies shall be paid by the central government after all funds in the general revolving accounts are exhausted, meaning that all the departments and division that are utilizing the revolving funds, that they prioritize using the revolving funds for the payment of utilities, and any remaining after whatever funds are available in the revolving funds, it will be the central government, which is the administration, that will take care of the remaining accounts for utilities. Same goes to section 601B for prepaid meter accounts. The authorized designee of the respective government agency or officer shall follow the protocol of the Department of Finance for timely payment. Discussion on section 601.
Ready.
Ready? Thank you, members. So we are now on section 602, hiring restrictions. And again, these are carryover provisions that are embedded in the current budget. And we have decided to insert it for this upcoming fiscal year 2026. Discussion on section 602. Recognize Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Council, can you scroll downward? Or stop right there. So on line 18, this might be contradictive to the intent of what we just did with section 501 in regards to new hires, because after senatorial district, it's an other essential position that's determined by the governor. So if a position is considered essential, but you can use external or outside sources from general revenues, those positions still, or that specific position that was vacated, can still be considered essential and be filled, and there'd be a new hire. Are we okay with that?
Can we just, I mean, obviously, when you're looking at the services, these services are towards safety and welfare, so,
Yeah, but the after and, that's any other position determined to be essential by the governor.
I don't know, like that, strike that out.
So, the vice is recommending that we, under line 18, that we strike out, starting from the word "and,"
Well, I'm not
other essential
I'm not
position.
necessarily recommending to strike it out, but it's contradictive to what we just did on section.
But if we take it out, then it
502.
will not be contradicting.
Yeah, but essential positions, let's remember, we can say essential positions are the
Public
people that
health.
are delivering the services, but then a janitor becomes very essential really quick.
Just leave it at period on senatorial district.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Discussion, members, recognize Representative
Thank
Ralph
you,
Newman.
thank you, and thank you, Vice, for airing it out. And I actually prefer the old way as to if the administration would like to hire new employees, they would come and request from the joint resolution to request why the need for additional. So I know we haven't been practicing that in a while, but in the old ways, I remember we still do that where we would have a joint resolution both from the House and Senate to address the concern of the administration as to what and why they need to hire. Thank you.
I agree with Rev. Yumo on that because sometimes we're in the middle of the fiscal year and, we're gonna have to do another supplemental or amend the budget. We can just have that provision here. Yeah, you're right, Rev. Yumo. I agree with that.
Thank you, Rep. Jewel. Recognize the Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And you guys are absolutely right. The only thing is that's not gonna be a request for a new position, because that position is gonna be existing with the money there, except that they took that person and put him under a federal program. But that money's still there, that position's still there, that request of an NOP is null and void. It doesn't have to happen.
But if it's for a completely new FTE,
It
like,
won't, that's different. That's different than what we're saying with what transpired under 501. Once you cannot reprogram to hire new position, right? But if a person is transferred, let's say they get another federal grant, they transfer that local or general revenue employee to the grant, that the position's still there, right? Yeah.
Recognize the floor leader.
So I have a question. So I'm assuming, right, hiring restrictions, everything now we're saying, okay, stop. If you need to hire, then add it as a joint resolution, okay. But when I'm thinking forward, I'm trying to think in any case scenario, and in terms of natural disasters, in terms of public safety, health and welfare, these now become essential, right? But there's codes and there's laws that determine what those essential positions are in terms of crisis and what have you. I still think that removing and other essential positions as determined by the governor, that should be removed. Just end it at district, because he still has to come over here and say, by whatever, I need this position. Where's the money? We find the money. He comes with, okay, here, this is where I'm going to get this. And again, it goes back to the purpose of the legislature is to appropriate the funds. And I think here we're very clear that we're leaving it for Department of Public Safety, Department of Fire, and for each respective senatorial district, period. That's what I think it should just end at period, at
I'm not-
senatorial district, period.
Mr. Chairman, I know I'm not saying that it's gonna add new positions, and there's no law in the CNMI that defines essential positions. That's a fact. What I'm saying is, under 501, we're not allowing new hires under reprogramming. but yet the essential positions as determined by the governor, if those positions become vacant because of a grant, the money's there, the position's there. Do we consider that a new hire to fill that position up, or do we consider it null and void, and that money goes to whatever they want to use it for, operations? What Flor is saying, that's different. There's absolutely zero statute in the CNMI that talks about essential positions.
I was just talking about times of crisis. That's very familiar, right? He has the opportunity to hire whoever he needs, deems essential for whatever situation the economy might pose or through natural disaster, right? He can do whatever he wants at that point. I think what I'm meaning, my concern here is that if we're saying that it's contradicting, right, which you're eloquently pointing out, and I support that. So if we language it then to say senatorial district, comma, and, or, I'm sorry, senatorial district, comma, with the exception of potential hires through external services as determined by the governor.
I
Or do
think
we also include economic development? Because that's also essential moving forward for infrastructure and development.
I think it's best that we go back, Floor Leader, to your original recommendation that we put a period after senatorial district, so that we don't convolute this provision that it's going to be contradicting with 501.
Okay, that's fine. And again, I like the floor leader's position, the floor, vice speaker to point that out, or vice chair to point that out, because it allows us this thinking process to really, what are we trying to do? But I would have to agree with you, Chairman, a period after, on line 18 after district.
Is that all agreed by the members? So there is a motion offered by the floor leader to delete the provisions after on line item 18. After the word district, put a period and delete the other provisions thereafter. Are we ready? Okay, thank you, members. So with that, the legal counsel,
May we please go to recess?
short recess. Thank you, members. We're back on our committee meeting, and we have left off under section 602, hiring restriction, and at this time, I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Chairman. At this time, I'd like to withdraw my motion, as mentioned, with adding a period after district on line 18. That's the motion I'm withdrawing, and that's it. Thank you. And to add, oops, and to keep the language and other essential positions as determined by the governor.
Any objection? With no objection, the floor leader has withdrawn her motion, and that we restore the starting from line 18, the words "and other essential position as determined by the governor," and to include new provisions and approved by the legislature via joint resolutions. Discussion on that provisions added. Ready? Thank you, members. Moving along, we are now on section 603, salary cap. And the first three items under A, B, and C are carryover provisions. The newly inserted provision is item D, to read starting on line 17. For fiscal year 2026, notwithstanding any provision of the law to the contrary, federal and or non-general revenue funds may be utilized to fund salaries in excess of the cap set forth in 1 CMC, subsections 8345A, F, H, J, and 1 CMC, subsections 8246. Discussion on section 603, D. Ready? Thank you, members. Moving along, we are now on item 604, revolving accounts.
No. This one will allow them to.
Section D will allow the issue about DLNR. So we're now at section 604, revolving accounts. And again, these are carryover provisions to allow the flexibility for each department and division that have revolving funds, that they can have that flexibility to use those funds for operation and personnel. Discussion on section 604. Ready? Thank you, members. That brings us to section 605, legal holidays. Once again, these are carryover provisions from the current budget, and that this August body had decided to include these provisions on this upcoming fiscal year budget bill. Discussion under section 605. Ready? That brings us now to section 606, sale 1 and sale 2 of Marpi landfill closure financial assurance mechanism. Again, members, this provision is also a carryover provision, and this provision is just giving the full faith and credit to EPA and or all those federal agencies that deals with our landfill, and this pretty much just give them the assurance that should sale 1 and 2 are in violation, and that the central government is obligated and mandated to step in and address those concerns and enter into a compliance and a corrective measures. Discussion under section 606. Recognize Representative Joel Camacho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wholeheartedly agree with this provision, and I know this came from DPW itself, but is there any way we can make it a little bit more clear where it's to be in compliance with EPA? Because, it's not really explicitly clear. Maybe we can just add that in. I don't know. Is that necessary?
This is the language from Ray to the letter, I think.
No need for that, because it's giving our full faith and credit. Because the EPA portion, the money should be there, but since they suspended it in the budget, the last couple of budgets, we've included this language to make sure that we don't go into potential receivership with the landfill.
We are still in open discussion under Section 606. Further discussion? Ready? Thank you, members. That brings us now to Section 607, reduction of work hours. Again, these provisions are carryover provisions that we have decided to insert it on this proposed budget. Discussion. I recognize the Vice Chair. Short recess. Thank you, members. We are back on our committee meeting, and before we had that short recess, we left off at section 607, and looking at the provisions now on section 607 on item 5. There is an added provision after the word austerity measures. We added as provided for by law. Discussion on this added provision. Ready? Thank you, members. So with that, we are now on item 608.
Chairman, can we just go back to salary cap? So I think we cited the wrong one on line 14, page 24, sorry.
Okay, let's go back to section 603 real quick under salary cap.
I think it should be 8245, not 8345.
Oh,
And under line 19, just to correct and cite the correct subsection under 1 CMC.
yeah.
So that's just the new corrected citation of the law and statute. Thank you, members. So we are now at item
608.
608, section 608, vacant position. And again, these are carryover provisions, and pretty much it says that if these vacant positions are not filled,
Yeah.
it shall be closed out, and that funding for these vacant NOPs goes to their respective operations of the department and agencies. Discussion under section 608. Ready? Thank you, members. That brings us now to chapters.
I don't know. Is it new public auditors, 609? That's the one we had.
Oh, we are now under 609, the added new section for the public auditor's fee. Discussion on this section. Ready? Thank you, members. So that brings us now to chapter 7, appropriations, section 701 in general. And these are just standard provisions under 701 in general. Discussion. Ready? And then under section 702 appropriation, we are just identifying the amount of 127,455,066 is hereby appropriate and set forth in attached Schedule A as the general revenue appropriation bottom number.
Can I put that
Discussion.
in there?
Yeah.
As the general revenues, yeah. Okay, members, as we are following through with our legal counsel, that is the new added provision on line 7. After the word Schedule A, newly inserted provision as the general revenues of the Commonwealth available for appropriation in fiscal year 2026. Discussion on that newly inserted provision.
Ready?
Ready? Thank you, members. Moving along, we are now on item 703, Judicial Branch. Discussion. We are now under open discussion. Ready? And under our deliberation over the past few days, we inserted provisions for both the judicial branch and the next branch, which is the legislative branch, and that is Claire. Where is that provision that we added new provision?
Yes, from personnel to operations, and from operations to personnel.
Yeah.
Okay, so under line 15, personnel and operations.
Yes. Right there, it's,
Okay, funding from personnel to operation and from operation to personnel was a newly added provision. under Section 703. Discussion. Recognize the
They-
floor leader.
Thank you, Chair. They do have the autonomy to use this for salary increase if they wanted to, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Although I disagree that they should be giving any salary increases at this time, I just wanted to ask that for clarity. So they can do that if they wanted to. The CJ has that opportunity. Okay, thank you.
We're still under open discussion. Recognize Representative Joel Camacho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if this is the appropriate place to maybe put that thing that I had mentioned earlier, and we can put
Joe, can you
the,
go back to 703 because we're still
Under
under judicial
judiciary?
branch? Yeah. Go
I
ahead,
think
please.
maybe we can mimic the language for also for the legislative branch. Just correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if we need it, but what I mentioned earlier about proportionate cuts, about giving us some time frame before they notify us that they're gonna cut our allotments. So I don't know if that's the appropriate place to put it in there, or do we need it? I don't know. Can you help me out on this? Thank you.
There is a recommendation and suggestion by Representative Joel Camacho to address the concern about proportionate cuts during this fiscal year. And he's offering an idea, if the members would agree, to insert certain provision that calls for that before any implementation of proportionate cuts, that we are notified on a very reasonable time frame so that the judicial branch and the legislative branch, for that matter, on the next section, can take appropriate measures to make adjustments within their operations for both the Bureau staff and, of course, each member's allocation, so that the impact is much less versus just a very short period of time of announcement that a proportionate cuts will be implemented immediately. That is still open discussion. Further discussion. Recognize the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. Before we address Rep. Joel Camacho's concerns, I think the concerns that were brought up by the floor leader is already addressed on the salary cap section 603.
Thank you.
So anything non-general funds can address those needs for the judicial branch, the same as the legislative branch. But in regards to the question raised by Rep. Joel Camacho, I know that they have to notify us at least 1 month before any cuts. I remember you're reminded by the 21st legislature when we got cut. Then at the end of the month, no, for the next fiscal.
Actually, Vice, also there was one recently last year when they notified us 2 weeks, very short, notice, and I think they were cutting our allotments by, if I'm not mistaken, 1,200 for that 2 months, and that gave us very little time to react to it. So.
Yeah, and you're right. But I think one of the things also we need to do from our branch, no, is make sure that like the contracts are the same, because I know some members would pay their employees at the first of the month and the 15th of the month, or one lump sum payment within the month, and that's going to be the difficult part, is because when you've already paid in the first part of the month and then the cut happens towards the end, you're not prepared for your next month already. So yeah, I mean, any general language, but at the end of the day, that's gonna be a cut across the board, right? And the reason why we gave the 100% to the administration is to allow them to move funds around first before we have to go back to the budget to make the like hour reduction or whatever allotment reduction. But it doesn't hurt to add that language. No? Thank you.
So move.
So as we are deliberating and having an open discussion, our legal counsel is inserting provisions for us, the members, to consider. If you look at your screen, starting on line 9, to read as follows. Notwithstanding any Commonwealth law to the contrary, in the event of any decrease in the amount of appropriated that may result in the reduction of allotments and or proportionate cuts to the executive, legislative, or judicial branches, the Secretary of Finance shall provide at least 30 days notice to all affected expenditure authorities. So this provision just mandates the Secretary that if there is a foreseen decrease in anticipated projection, that the time room for each branch to be notified is within 30 days, so that it could allow each other branches to ample time to make that necessary adjustments within your operation. Is that something that the members would agree? Okay. We're having a little bit glimpse of on our IT, so let's have a short recess.
There's a million ways to skin a cat. We're going every which way.
Members, we're back on our, and to the view public, we're back on our committee meeting. And before we had recess, we are at section 703, Judicial Branch. And under recess, we have allowed the legal counsel to add a new provision. And then if the legal counsel can bring the attention of the viewing public and the members under Judicial Branch, under item line 3, item D, a new provision is inserted to read as follows. Notwithstanding any Commonwealth law to the contrary, there shall be no reduction of allotments or proportionate cuts to the Judicial Branch absent a new annual budget submission. Discussion on this provision. Any discussion? The committee is going to also insert it the same under section 704, Legislative Branch. Discussion, members? Ready? Thank you, members. So with that, we are now on section 705, Executive Branch. Discussion under Executive Branch. We under the 1 week of deliberation, we added new provisions, and if the chair can take your attention to item D, which to read as follows: of the collection received by the Cinema Passport Office, up to 150,000 of the non-general revenue funds shall be reserved for the Cinema Passport Office personnel and operation.
No, remove the non. Those are all general revenues.
Recognize the Vice Speaker, the Vice Chair.
We gotta remove the non-general because the passport money belongs to the CNMI. We're the only jurisdiction in the nation that keeps the passport money, so they're general revenues. So we remove the word non. No, not and remove. Change the up to. Of the collections received by the CNMI Passport Office, no less than 150,000 of the general revenue shall be reserved for the CNMI Passport Office personnel. No less than 150.
Yeah, but that's, could be 100%, Chair.
It has to be, yeah. That's gonna run their office.
So the bottom ceiling is no less than 150.
They need this money because they're traveling to Rhoda and Tinian on a quarterly basis, and we're losing potential collections in a 3-month period right off the bat because they don't have enough personnel and they don't have enough funding. So no less than $150,000 shall be reserved for that office so it can function and get people getting passports so that the general revenue will get more money faster.
Thank you, Vice. Discussion on this newly added provision. No objection. Thank you, members. With that, there is a consensus of the members of the Ways and Means that we add those new provisions. Moving along, we are now on section 706, First Senatorial District, Mayor of Rhoda and Rhoda Municipal Council. And under our 1 week of deliberation, the new added provision, most of these provisions are carryover. The new added provisions are on the bottom. If I can get your attention on the screen, and for the viewing public to look, to read as follows. Notwithstanding any law to the contrary, the mayor of the First Senatorial District shall not enter into personal contracts pursuant to memoranda of understanding, MOUs. Discussion on this newly inserted provision. Ready?
For all senatorial.
And these members, these provisions added to all the, this is for all the 3 senatorial districts. So, any further discussion? What you see here under section 706 is also included under 707 right now in the screen. You move further down. Item C. Same. And then under section 708, all other provisions are carryover, except for Joe, can we number that, or can we put a letter on those provisions, just as the same as the first and second senatorial? Put that as A. And then move further down, Joe. Recognize the floor leader under open discussion.
Thank you, Chairman. And, you know, again, I know that our colleague from Tinian is really going to probably have some personal feelings against me for putting this there. But I need to state this for the record because, again, the reason why it's there is that there has been incidences many, many years. I don't know if this is a common practice or not, and maybe it is. My only thing is that these MOUs do not say that they're contractual agreements, and without that, even at that, we don't pay into the workman's comp. They don't have any employee-employer protection. In the MOU itself, it doesn't even state what accounts these payments will be coming from. Furthermore, some of the municipalities, based on the budget hearings that we went to, have continued to ask for more FTEs, but continue to use MOUs. And if that is the case, and they're using these MOUs as what they had mentioned were political hires, then if they're here for 45 days under an MOU inter-island, then they should change their residency and be a voting member of the 3rd Senatorial District, because that's expected from everybody. If you live in the Commonwealth for more than 45 days from anywhere in any district, that you should change your voting district. Now, I'm sure it's going to get shot down in the Senate, but again, for purposes to ensure that the employees that are hired under NOPAs are afforded the protections, those that are hired under MOU political hire are not afforded that. So, and they continue to ask for more FTEs, but then have MOUs in other places. If that is the case, then hire them under notice of personnel action under accepted service. Thank you.
Thank you, floor leader. Further discussion under the provisions provided for all 3 senatorial districts. Ready? Thank you, members. That brings us now to section 709, other programs. And what you see in provisions under 709 are, again, carryover provisions and to include the repeated carryover provisions for PSS, interscholastic sports leagues, cultural competitions, and academic competitions for the school year of 2025 and 2026. The only difference during this current year's budget that we have deliberated on in the past few days is the figure of $500,000 for these programs. The current budget gave PSS a room of a figure of $300,000 for these programs, but that was because it was at $300,000 because the revised budget was in the middle part of the school year, and that is why this August body concluded that we up the number to with an additional $200,000 because this budget calls for the whole year of the school year for this upcoming school year. Discussion on that. On other programs. Ready? Thank you, members. So that brings us now to items section 710, independent programs. And as you can see, all the independent programs are listed. These are all the independent programs. And again, these are the standard and carryover provisions that we have inserted for this upcoming budget bill. We also carry over item F, Cinema Scholarship, to appropriate 50,000 shall be used to fund the professional student exchange program established under 3 CMC subsection 11101 as shown in Schedule A.
Chair, you don't mind? Sorry, can you add a abbreviation there for the acronym for PSEP? Because the program is better known as PSEP. Put it in a abbreviation.
Council, can you please insert that?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so there is a new insertion of the abbreviation on line item 15 to indicate what professional student exchange program is better known as PSEP. Also, we are correcting on line 13 the newly named Cinema Scholarship. So it's called Cinema Scholarship and Financial Services Office.
Actually, Chairman, it's CNMI Scholarship and Financial Assistance Office.
I stand to be corrected. Financial and assistant assistant office. Discussion on this newly inserted provision. Ready? Thank you, members. With that said, it brings us now to Section 711, which is Department of Public Lands, and these are the provisions that are also carry over to include the submitted budget amount for the Department of Public Lands, and also to include the MOA between DPL and the DLNR Division of Parks and Recs for all 3 senatorial districts. Discussion on this provision. Joe, can you bring us to Section 711? And then bring it down. The MOA between DPO and Department of Lands and Natural Resources, Division of Parks and Rec. Discussion. I recognize Representative Joel.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for placing this provision in there. But, I mean, it doesn't guarantee that DPL pays for this every time, though. I'm glad that it's in here, but I don't know if there's a way to reinforce it. I think it's good, but the Parks has also been notifying me that sometimes they're not receiving the full payment or that they're entitled to under the last budget provision or the last budget.
Okay,
Right. So when we had the budget hearing with DPL here at the chamber, we some of the members did ask that question to Secretary Sixto Igusomar, and he had responded that the billings of Parks and Rec are before his office. They are now just looking into it, vetting those billings from Parks and Rec. But there was no response of any objection of paying this billing from Parks and Rec to pay the 50% of the personnel that are in the MOA agreement with DPO. Nothing was said to that extent, but you still have the floor, Representative Joel Concho.
Thank you, Chairman, and I appreciate that you guys had already met with DPO and you guys got some feedback. However, I hope that they do pay these the billings, because these are services that were rendered for already over a year. You know, and that's also the reason why I made that drafted that legislation for the 1%. It's because of the delayed payments and the staff were not paid for those services that were rendered already. So just wanted to state that. Thank you.
Let's have a short recess so that we can further add more provisions on this section. Short recess. Thank you, members, and to the viewing public. We're back on our committee meeting, and we left off before our short recess under Section 711, Department of Public Lands. And during that recess, we have included new provision to the viewing public. If you can see on the screen on line 4, we added a provision to read as follows. Provided further, DPL shall provide payments for the landscaping and ground maintenance of all properties that fall under the purview of Parks and Recreation. Discussion on this newly inserted provision. Ready? Thank you, members. So with that, we are now under Section 712, Transparency and Accurate Information Access. These are always included provision, and all this section does is call for the Department of Finance to provide information to our legislative branch with regards to what are the revenues collected and what are the funds collected from anticipated projections. And I know that history tells us that this provision all the time has been vetoed by the administration, but I think this is just an effort for the legislative branch to have some access. We're not asking for business information, we're just asking for numbers on what was collected monthly, so that our fiscal analysis here in the legislative branch can kind of also monitor the trend of revenues collected through the fiscal year. And I believe that through the past few days when we were deliberating, most of the members have agreed that we should go ahead and insert this provision and hope that it does not get vetoed. We are now in open discussion. Recognize the floor, Leader.
This doesn't fall under Open Government Act?
We can always request Open Government Act. We're just trying to embed in the budget bill that so that we can have the ability on a monthly basis, right, to have some access through Munis.
Right, but even if we were going to access through Munis, it still should fall under the OGA. So maybe we need to retitle that as Open Government Act and then put all of this stuff in there with the access, and then maybe identify one person through the Financial Services Division as the point of contact.
Understood. Normally, when private citizen and governmental agencies utilize OGAs when information are not being disseminated upon a simple request, people tend to exercise the Open Government Act. But we're still under open discussion. All this provision is simply is asking is that we are given access for numbers on collected revenues. That's all. And if they don't give us that access, of course, we have that other option of entering into a OJ request.
Once again, isn't this part of the OGA? So part of OGA is to be transparent and accurate with information. And rather than writing a letter from OGA, we still have the authority to know these numbers at least. So, I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand why this gets vetoed when we're already needing the information in this particular budget act to have this Secretary of Finance come in, but it's still under OGA. At the end of the day, it's still OGA.
Yes. We're still under open discussion. So I guess the question is, are we comfortable remaining these provisions on this budget bill, proposed budget bill?
I think it's better to have it than not have it in there.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Leader, and thank you, members. So with that, we move further down. We're almost to the end of this proposed budget bill. We are now on section 713, violation of spending limits. And these are all standard carryover provisions. And at this time, we are under open discussion. Any discussion under section 713? Ready? Thank you, members. That brings us now to Chapter 8, Non-General Revenue Sources, and Section 801, Administrative Provision. And these are simply all the non-revenue sources. Discussion on the provision. Claire, we didn't make any changes on this, right? These are all carryover and standard.
Right, but we changed outside sources to non-general revenue sources.
Okay. That's one changes that we made. And then, Joe, I think we need to change the Cinema Scholarship and update that too as well. To Cinema Scholarship and Financial Assistant Office. Further discussion. Okay, ready, members? That brings us now to Section 802, another non-general revenue sources, which is the tobacco settlement funds, and all the breakdowns that those funds are given. Discussion under Section 802.
There's just the one that you said, was it?
Follow me, speakers, I view in public.
Well, or no, it's a CW funds, right? That was vetoed? Okay, sorry. Non-revenue TG still the same? 5.
Okay, any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, we are now on item B under Section 802, another non-general revenue resources or sources, the CW fee. Oh, recognize floor leader?
Can we just go back to that part where you had that transparency there for the
Under what
Munis.
section? Okay, going back to the transparency and accurate information access.
Yeah.
Section 712, Joe.
Can you retitle that as financial data transparency and accurate information access?
Joe?
Just financial data and transparency information access. Our hope is that it's accurate. Okay, yeah. Because everything down there is all financial. It's nothing, and if the OGA doesn't pertain to that, then the financial data that Munis collects is what we're asking for.
Okay, members, under Section 12, 712, Joe, go back up to the title. The floor leader suggested and recommended that we change the title to Financial Data and Transparency Information Access. Are there any objection? Okay. Joe, can we go back now to section B under 802 CW funds? And those are the breakdown on the distribution of funds. I know that over the couple of days we inserted reporting clause. Joe, go down to the C. This is the newly added provision that we decided to insert, reporting requirements, to read as follows: that the expenditure authorities of the funds allocated pursuant to Section 802 shall provide accountability and transparency by providing within 30 days after the end of each quarter an expenditure report of the funds to the governor and the presiding officers of the legislature. So this added new provision is just so that we can try to collect some data out of the usage of this outside resources, source of funding, so that we can better equip ourselves with data on the money used for all these line item education institutions. Discussion. Ready? Thank you, members. So that brings us now to the end of the bill. The last provisions are the general provisions of the severability clause and the savings clause. So at this time, Joe and Claire, the chair will now ask, how much time do you guys need to kind of do a clean copy so that we can have the members sign the final version of this proposed budget bill, so that we can pre-file it. And if I can ask also the members, everyone was emailed the Schedule A from TG. Have everybody received the Schedule A? So how much time is needed, legal counsel? Okay, pues nada, está. So thank you, members. With the exercise that we just went through with all the additional changes, we will now allow the Bureau staff to clean up the provisions on this proposed bill. And at this time, the chair will now further head on our agenda. We are now on item 5, announcement. Are there any announcements from the members? Recognize Representative Ralph Yumo.
Chair, not announcement. We are not addressing the schedule today.
I believe the schedule had been distributed already to all the members, and the schedule only reflects all the reduction that we have did. If there's anything that the members have concerns, this is the rightful time to raise those concerns.
Okay, good. Can we do a short recess so that I can add?
Short recess before we adjourn. back on our committee meeting, and before we went in a short recess, we were under announcement. The chair would like to announce that this to the viewing public that today would be the conclusion of the Committee on Ways and Means on its budget deliberation. We will finalize this final version of our product, and we're going to submit it to the House Clerk so that we can pre-file this proposed budget bill and allow our Speaker of the House to call a session so that we can present it to the full body for a vote. So with that, we thank the viewing public for their patience all day. I know that we started early at 9:45 this morning, and we thank you guys for being patient with us. So with that, we are now on our last order of business, item 7, adjournment, and the chair adjourns this committee meeting. Thank you, members, and to the viewing public.